Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby, and today Referat is going to show us exactly how to play the T62A. Referat is from the North American server, and thank you so much for submitting this replay on the QuickyBaby.com replays website. I must say that this is one of the best Tier 10 games that I have seen. And it's absolutely dramatic with a very, very, very tense ending. So the T62A, it's one of the 3 Soviet Tier 10 medium tanks, has an amazing rate of fire, a very punchy gun that can take out its enemies surprisingly quickly. It doesn't have that much ammo though, as we're going to see in this replay towards the end. It carries 50 shells. Each one of those 50 shells has got 320 alpha damage, with probably the best 100mm in the game. So Referat put a good hit there into that VK2801. I'm really looking forward to the 9.1 changes of the VK2801. Maybe it's going to make the tank competitive again. But at the moment, it's really not got very much of a good place in the meta. So Referat has a lovely opportunity here on this T34. And oh my word, his enemies are multiplying. Now he gets to shoot a T32 as well. And this tank has got more than enough penetration to simply melt Tier 8 heavy tanks. He's flinching around with his aim a little bit here. I'm not sure if that's some lag in the replay. But he's putting round after round after round into that T32. And I don't believe he's even spotted. So his artillery finished off the T32 after he put 1,267 damage into that T32. And boy, can these Tier 10 medium tanks just absolutely rip apart Tier 8 tanks. I might say this is a very nice matchup for him. I didn't realize it at the beginning, but only half of the enemy tanks were Tier 9 or Tier 10. And that allows the T62A to absolutely prey on its opponents. And he's already up to 3,000 damage within the first 3 minutes of the game. He's got so many targets. And he's not even spotted right now. This AT-15 is a very heavily armoured Tier 8 British tank destroyer. But its armour simply can't compete with this Tier 10 Soviet 100mm. And finally he's been spotted. Finally he has been spotted when the IS-7 pokes over the ridgeline. Now the hull armor on the T62A is rather weak, but in these Tier 8 matchups, it's a lot stronger than it would be against many Tier 9 and Tier 10 tanks. You get about 25mm of penetration extra for every tier that you go up. Quite a few of the Tier 8s average between 200 and 225. Tier 9s are usually 225 to 250. And with regards to the medium tanks, when you hit Tier 10, it's starting to push up to 270. And obviously with the tank destroyers, it's even more than that. So this 100mm of armor on the T62A can feel very underwhelming for a Tier 10 tank. However, the T62A has got fantastic turret armor. And you're seeing it just there with that bounce from the Yag Tiger. Let's have a quick look to make sure it indeed hit the turret. And yep, right off the sides of the cheeks. And that's one of the massive advantages that the T62A has over the Object 140. A lot of people ask me, Object 140 or T62A? Arguably the two standard Tier 10 Soviet tanks that are medium. Because the Object 430 just plays out a little differently with regards to having to use its hull armor. Now the gun depression on the T62A is 5 degrees. But as you can see, if you can find good positions, it's still more than enough to be able to brutalize these opponents, while keeping your turret only in view. Imagine if you're driving a T-54 with regards to the gun depression. Frontally, the T-62A turret is near impenetrable, apart from some very high tanks, or tanks that fire in premium rounds and hit it flush. In its cheeks, premium rounds here, and it's very hard, but if you can catch the cupola, then you can manage to take it out. And that has allowed Referat to now do nearly 6,000 damage without taking a point of damage in return. He has been single-handedly holding this area. Not one of his friends has even died up here. A lot of his Tier 8 heavy tanks, as we can see, are situating on that hill, relying on Referat to keep the pressure on the town below, undoubtedly having a large impact on these tanks here, and also spot for his friends. Now the enemy team must be feeling quite confident here. They've got a 6 tank advantage, and this Jagdtiger seems to want to push the pace. The Jagdtiger fails to damage, even though he hit him in the tracks. That was very lucky for Referat. But he's got more than enough penetration to penetrate even the upper plate on the Jagdtiger. Jagdtiger hit his tracks again, absorbing the damage. And Referat spots an IS-7 from below. He shoots into a rock. Now he loads a heat round. And good night, IS-7. So, tactical use of his heat ammunition there. Fantastic. He loads one to finish off a very heavily armored target, and then moves back to his AP rounds. And I know these are APCR rounds, but those are standard on the Tier 10 medium tanks. And a lovely leading shot there onto the IS-8. Oh, a bit unlucky that that one dipped so far. That's the second kind of massively dipping shell that Referat has had this game. And this is simply unbelievable. He's up to 7,300 damage. It's absolutely redonkulous. Now he's noticed there's an enemy IS-3 up on the hill. Oh, he could have tried to make that one count, but I think the gun depression dipped just as he went over the hill. Luckily, the IS-3 misses. And he will get to fire 3 times for every time the IS-3 fires. Well, not quite 3, probably 2.5 times. Not even quite 2.5, just over 2, I should think. Thinking about that more objectively. He just absolutely murders that IS-3 without taking another point of damage. So Referat has run out of regular rounds, so he's forced to fire his heat ammunition now. Just a tracking shot. But he's able to put a shell in and save his KV-5. Now there's a Jaegeru making his way towards the center. Referat puts in a good shot into him just before he re-stealth. Now, Referat obviously thinks, right, that Jaegeru is going for the north. My only chance is to attack because I'm outnumbered. It's me and artillery versus 3 tanks and an artillery. He needs to put the pressure on in the town. Now Referat only has 8 heat shells remaining and 2 HE rounds. He simply can't afford that. If I was him there, I would have probably thinked about either ramming the Lerva or at least taking my time with the shot. Now he's reloading another heat shell. There's an argument here to use his HE round. But as long as he penetrates it, he should be okay. He narrowly avoids the artillery, who is a tier 9 bat chat, so it's not an autoloader. And now he sees that the Jaegeru is making a run towards him, recklessly chasing him. As he got splashed by the artillery, he got to see the indicator of where the enemy artillery was. So he saw that it's situated towards the south. So he's going to make his way south. And he's preemptively loaded his HE shells, realizing, oh god, I've done 9,000 damage, and I've still got more people to kill. And unfortunately for him, his artillery makes a massive mistake. And there we can see he penetrates his HE shell, doing 393 damage to the enemy. I guess he thought that he could just finish him off with an HE shell. He realizes he's only got 4 shots left. And so he decides to just ram the Batchat to save the ammunition. Great effort there. And now 4 shells left against an enemy Tier 10 tank destroyer, the Jaegeru. So he's got to get some vision on the Jaegeru. He thinks about going up to have a peek, and he decides against it. This is absolutely hilarious. Taco Dog on the enemy team says, T62, stop playing with your food, ... Little does he know that he has to be playing with his food with regards to ramming those tanks to death. I guess if the Jaegeru hadn't been on the Hell March towards the center of the map, that he could have probably rammed the AMX. But with the hull armor on this tank, an AMX 1375 is able to go through it reliably. And he probably thought at that stage that his artillery was still going to be alive and not lose his life completely unnecessarily to the enemy E100 Jagdpanzer. Here we can see that the Jaegeru is on his way forwards. Referat fires a shot. I mean, he's only got 3 shots left. He should realize now that with 1,514 hit points, that there's no chance that he can kill the Jaegeru without either A, setting him on fire, or B, getting an ammo rack. So he manages to spot the Jaegeru without being seen. He's looking for a shot on the lower plate, but I guess he didn't take it because he was so concerned about the ammo that he had left. So he starts to cap. Now unfortunately for him, this is an encounter, so he can't cap in time. He's only got 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. And to cap an encounter, you need, by yourself, 200 seconds, which is 3 minutes and 20 seconds to be able to cap. Because on the encounter maps, it takes twice as long to cap to try and balance it and to stop people from cap rushing and give people an opportunity to defend. So he must know for sure that the Jaegeru is making his way towards him. The Jaegeru has to... One thing that's interesting is that for all the Jaegeru knows, that it might indeed be that the T62A has lots of ammo. So for all the E100 Jagdpanzer knows, he's got to be careful here. If I was an E100 Jagdpanzer against the T62A, I would be terrified, especially considering that the T62A has 1,100 hit points left, meaning that chances for me to one-hit him are quite slim. So Referat fires one of his only remaining shells into the side of the Jaegeru. Simply goes behind him and fires another one. And another one. And now he's out of ammunition. Now Referat has done, of the damage that we've seen so far, 10,800 damage in a T62A. 8 kills. And he's put into this situation where he has to simply try and draw out the game. And unfortunately for him, spoilers aside, this is all that's really going to happen for the rest of the game. The Jaegeru is going to try and violate him with his bum. Now thinking about this, what could Referat have done differently? What could Referat have done differently to be able to win this game? Well, let's think about what I said with regards to where is a Jaegeru's engine? Alright, well we all know that the E100 chassis, if you shoot it in the lower plate, it gets set on fire quite often. Now with his 4 remaining heat shells, if I was him and I realized I didn't have time to cap, I would have probably tried to risk it all I would have probably tried to risk it all and tried to put shot after shot into the enemy Jaegeru's lower plate. Because if you only have 4 shells remaining, that's only 1,200 damage to 1,280 damage with the 100mm on the T62A. So to be able to kill the enemy tank, you'd either have to shoot it in the ammo rack, which is most likely going to be towards this part of the E100 Jagdpanzer, or you're going to have to try and nail it multiple times in the lower plate and hope that its fire extinguisher goes off twice, or that he's forgotten to equip one, or maybe it's been used earlier in the battle. Although Referat would probably know that the enemy Jaegeru's fire extinguisher had not been used, considering he is the only person who has done any damage to him. When Referat was killing the Lerva and the AMX, I'm pretty sure he didn't comprehend that his artillery was going to die so easily. He did miss one shot on the Lerva straight into the tracks, which would have been great if he'd been able to have that against the Jaegeru. But at that stage, his artillery, who was situated over in this part of the map, was still alive. As we can see there, it looks like the artillery probably took a pot shot at the Jaegeru, who at that point was situated over here, and got spotted for it. If the artillery had remained calm and just stayed hidden while the Jaegeru was on his way towards the cap circle, he could have waited for Referat to counter the enemy artillery, and then they could have peppered the Jaegeru together. So really, this was a series of unfortunate events for Referat, and he had an absolutely fantastic game. To be able to see just how good this game was, let's take a look at the post-game stats. Wow, that's a serious post-game screenshot for you. Referat made 152,000 credits in his T62A, and this is without any bonus events, as well as 2,380 experience for a draw. This was undoubtedly the mastery badge. He picked up a Radley Walters, he got 8 kills. High caliber, no sweat there. A Confederate and a tank sniper as well, showing just how good the capabilities are of the T62A at long ranges. Now this battle was 32,852 WN8, which was simply redonkulous. Having a closer look at the team scores, we can see just how much damage Referat was able to do. 11,245, and unfortunately the Bat Chat, who also had a respectable game doing 3,000 damage, got caught out by the enemy Jagdpanzer E100, and they were unable to finish off the game together. Referat did make good use of his ammunition. He hit 90% of his shots, and of those, 43 penetrated. I can't really say Referat was wasting his ammunition, considering that for every stage of the game, as long as his team didn't suck out completely, this should have been a certain win. He took 8 hits that game, of which 4 penetrated his tank, and the excellent turret armor on the T62A, as well as his tracks, managed to block nearly 2,000 damage. Now while Referat only detected 4 of the enemy vehicles, he damaged 15. That's right, he put at least 1 shot into every tank on the enemy team, as well as killing over half the enemy team. And he also did 2,660 spotting damage for his artillery and the Tier 8 gun line that was on the ridge line behind him. Lots of people swear by the T62A, and traveling nearly 4.5 kilometers in a game shows just how mobile you can be in it. Referat, thank you so much for submitting this replay. It was an absolute joy to watch, and I think it just provides more ammunition for the debate between the T62A and the Object 140. One thing I must do is thank Michael and Grim for some great new features on the replay.QuickyBaby.com website that has allowed me to find such fantastic replays, such as this. Firstly, that you can sort battles by WN8 now, which is how I managed to find Referat's amazing replay. And also that you can filter tanks by individual tanks, by tiers, by nations, and also by game versions. So you can filter out all the people who are posting that amazing replay that they had from 2 years ago that nobody can watch because they don't have an install on the game that works with it anymore. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider rating it down below. I'd really appreciate it, and it really helps. And let me know in the comments what you think about the T62A and specifically about this game that Referat played. What do you think he could have done differently to being able to win the game? I'd be very interested to hear what you have to say about that. Or do you think this was just one of these games where you can do everything right and carry ridiculously hard, and in the end all you needed was one more person on your team to do a little something? Let me know what you think. Anyway, as always guys, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.